for Pitt. Intercepted by Ray Hubble, who may go all the way again. He's going to be cut off near the sideline. He was tripped by a man standing in front of the Winnipeg bench.
First down, Edmonton with the football. McManus going up top for Eddie Brown. What a catch! Eddie Brown! Touchdown, Edmonton! Penalty markers down all over the field.
Illegal substitution, too many men on the field, Saskatchewan.
From 33 yards out to win the 97th Grey Cup. Ball down, ball through.
What is up, everybody? It's your boys. Cross them up. Football A podcast. That was incredible timing by Ant and I. Ant, I said this last week. Week 1 went too fast. Turns out week 2 might have gone even faster.
It definitively went faster. Literally, I blinked. I was watching Winnipeg, Ottawa on Thursday, and then I blinked, and Saskatchewan was picking that ball up at the end of the game. It was like that. I can't snap, but it went as fast as a snap.
Wow, quick as the snap comes. Did the weekend get over? This is not okay because like college football and NFL seems to fly by year over year now. The days get faster as you get older, especially with a kid and a second one on the way like myself has. So the fact that we're already in week 2 of the CFL season, staring down the barrel of week 3, has me shell-shocked. Also having me shell-shocked is how the team that we said is by far the worst team in the league, Ottawa, the Red Blacks, defeat Winnipeg in a rainy one.
Yeah, I guess I'll take this one first as the premier Ottawa hater. I will not apologize.
Ottawa, he's not going to apologize.
Ottawa stinks. Ottawa is still terrible. The only one I want to apologize to is Drew Brown. He played good. I referred to him on Twitter on Thursday as a coughing baby next to Collaros' hydrogen bomb.
I would say you have to flip those two at this point.
Well, we'll talk about Collaros, but I'd like to apologize to Drew Brown, but not Ottawa because the Red Blacks still stink. They're still the worst team in the league. I don't care.
I love that. They'll have my Montreal Alouettes coming up here in week 3. I was on and off of the game, had to focus on a little bit of baseball for a minute there. Got done, was able to catch the rain delay, so that was pretty sweet. But no Oliveira for Winnipeg. Adam Big Hill returns. Your boy, as an Ohio State fan, Damon Webb was an absolute monster, made probably arguably the biggest impact on the game. But we have to talk about Zach Collaros right now. Worst completion percentage in the league, 54%, 0 touchdowns on the year.
Yep.
Kenny, I think he didn't. I don't think he played last week after getting hurt in week 1. But that receiving core is still good enough where you should be able, like, you're Zach Collaros. From what I understand, you might be on the Mount Rushmore of CFL quarterbacks.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, like you said, the receiver core is good. They still got Dalton Schoen, who, if I'm remembering correctly, led the league in touchdowns last year, touchdown receptions. But just in general, like, I just don't understand what happened. Is it just age? What happened to Collaros? Somebody explain this. This is Drew Brees at the end of his career, his last year with the Saints, where he just could not throw the ball. Or Peyton Manning 2013, where he literally couldn't throw the ball more than 4 yards downfield at a time. Or 2015, not 13. But it was just it's ugly. It's ugly. He's terrible right now.
Yeah, it's really bad. I'm frankly astonished. I would have liked a full year of really good Collaros, and there's still time. CFL's a long season. Got a long way to go yet in this one, but yeah, I was hoping for Winnipeg to be, see some, like, get a lot more screen time of Collaros being good, and that's not what we've received so far. But credit to Ottawa and the Ottawa defense for making plays.
No, I will not credit Ottawa or the Ottawa defense. The only thing
strictly Drew Brown.
Strictly Drew Brown. The only thing I would like to say is, as a Rough Riders fan, I did not want to see Collaros have a good year. This brings me immense joy And I love it. I hope they go 0-18 or however many games. I think it's 18. I hope they go 0-18. That's my official take.
All right, there you go. He hopes with the help of Ottawa, Winnipeg to go 0-18. Justin
Oh,
Hardy, this is very
baller.
slept on. 7 catches, 111 in a score. In a
Am
in a
I
line. Go ahead.
am I remembering he played for the Falcons, or am I misremembering that?
Hmm.
That seems to be ringing a bell to me.
All right.
Don't
Well,
don't
now,
we're gonna Google it here.
yeah,
Bad radio.
we're gonna bad radio. Google it. Um, I won't say. Wow, great memory. Back to
Yeah.
2015 to 2019.
Oh yeah. I
Look
thought
at
I
you.
remembered.
He's a Burls. This is not a fun one to say.
Royals.
No, wrong.
Oh,
Burlsworth.
oh,
Burls.
that's that movie. Is it? What is that like leadership? Or they made a movie about that guy.
Brandon Burlsworth.
Yeah, it's a real crappy. No offense. No, actually, I won't say it.
Yeah,
In respect of Joe DeBlanco, it's a it's a bad Christian movie about a walk on who played for Arkansas back in the day. It's really
wow.
corny.
Wow, that is incredible. That is basically exactly what the Wikipedia said. Because Brandon Burlsworth passed away in a car accident
Yeah.
11 days after the 1999 draft. He would have played with Peyton Manning. Wow.
What's the
I had
movie
no
called?
idea.
Is it Greater or is that the rugby movie?
That I don't know. I'm just reading
Okay,
about the
it's
Burlsworth
fine.
trophy, to be totally
It's fine.
honest.
It's fine. Not a
Let's
big
see.
deal.
Only been around since 2010. Oh, wow. Jared Abbrederis, former
Wow,
Wisconsin wide
Wisconsin
receiver,
legend.
won it the year before Hardy did. Baker Mayfield, your boy, won it back-to-back years.
Okay, respectfully, not my boy. Don't say that anymore.
All right, fine. I'll be respectful of your wishes there and not go any further. But Ottawa, big victory over Winnipeg. They play again Thursday night, my Alouettes, and we can get to that in a little bit here. So we'll move on to Friday night. I didn't get to see any of this. I was busy throwing 6 scoreless. Don't ask about the 7th inning, because I will not talk about it. Montreal 3-point victory, absolute heartbreaker of a
On the
spread
spread.
loss as well for your boy. I don't really want to talk about that either. Tough Friday night for your boy. Cody Fajardo, though, he is he him? He might be him.
So, oh, on the list of apologies, number one is Snack Bites Pete. Two, Cody Fajardo. Snack
I
Bites
hope,
Pete needs to send a DM to Cody Fajardo and apologize because he was destroying him in the DMs, and then
yep.
and then Fajardo comes out and does it the first time. I mean, he's been incredible. And
He has been,
downfield passing, short pass, everything. He's on target. He's hitting bombs. I love it.
yeah. Who's somebody was out. Not a good look. Somebody was out for them at wide receiver who just got hurt last game. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
But I think somebody was hurt. That might be bad. That might be bad radio. I'll have to of course I ripped out my notes from week 1 already, but Fletcher as well out of the backfield was awesome.
It was awesome.
Got to shout out my boy Cole Speaker, 4 for 42 and a touchdown. UW lacrosse guy, Wisconsin lacrosse. So love seeing my boys make plays. Had a touchdown in last year's Grey Cup victory. So got to shout out my boys when I can. Yeah, Cote missed a field goal. So, I mean, there's 3 points that would have helped us cover the spread. But I think Edmonton scored with like, what, a minute and a half left, if that.
Less. I think it was under a minute.
That hurts so bad.
Close. It was close. It might have been a minute and a half.
Somewhere around there. The one thing we do have to talk about this game is that James Letcher is so far off of his 20 return touchdown pace for the year. He's got 0 so far through 2 games after needing to average 1. He has to have 3 on Thursday night in order to catch up.
He's struggling. I don't want to say letting us down because we still like him, but we set the number at 20. It was his job to meet it. He's not doing that.
That's
So
true. That is absolutely true. So I had to bring that out there. Uh, Obviously Edmonton, we gotta.
I,
You can't just let you can't bring in a guy in front of Trey Ford and then for MBT to
look,
not be good is not okay.
Edmonton. MBT was not good this game. He looked worse than he did against Saskatchewan. But Montreal is the best defense in the league. Let's give them respect. They are the
It's
best
true.
defense in the league.
They're really good.
Saskatchewan are the only 2-0 teams in the league are the two teams that Edmonton played. So if there's two teams that you'd look bad against, it would be the two best teams in the league, Saskatchewan and Montreal. So it kind of makes sense. I still
Taking
I
some
still like
absolute
them.
liberties with best team in the league.
Wow, 2-0. It's just a fact. If you look at the standings, we're at the top. I would just say in general, I think he's been fine. He's been nothing special. Well, there's a lot of these guys that I think have just been fine. We'll get to Trevor Harris later, but they're just okay. Nothing important.
Fair enough there. Then I wanted to note too, former NFL defensive lineman Robert Kindici had a sack as well coming into his own for Edmonton. He could be an absolute problem coming up here.
He's incredible. Highest rated high school recruit ever at the time. Absolute dog. He's a perfect 1.0.
That's true. That is crazy. Dude, he'd be so awesome to get on here and talk to because like his yeah, dude, his general his career in general, obviously going from the NFL to the CFL now too, but that's pretty insane to the high school recruiting aspect. There's a lot of these guys like Aju who we'll get to, or Joe, I think it is. Sorry, I think Suter might have. I think he said that too. He corrected. I forget the other guy's name. I'm not great other than Farhan Lalji, who you'll have to stick around for in this episode, but he was also super highly touted as a recruit. So yeah, I always forget that Kimdichie was like the most sure
guy. He was the guy. He was pretty good at Old Man. I could talk to Kimdichie for an hour just about high school and college. I would love to talk to Kimdichie. That's a pipe dream for me personally.
I love that. We need to start getting our list of like our white whales, like guys we really like and need to talk to so that we have something for the fans to look forward to here as we get through the years. Because I'm not stopping. I love this too much. I love this podcast and the CFL so much. Let's move quickly, though, because we do have, I should have mentioned it at the top, Farhan Lalji talking about the 2009 Grey Cup, the 13th man for your Saskatchewan Roughriders coming up later in this podcast. So we'll head to Saturday. Another tough loss in the final seconds for your boy on the spread. BC takes Calgary down. The score, I think, 26-17 looks a little longer than obviously the game was with the late score. We got to talk about this fumble rule. First time I think we've really experienced it, or at least that's sticking in my head, just batting it out of bounds. You get to retain possession. It's the CFL, man. They love chaos, and boy, is that a chaotic rule.
Yeah, I think it's the first CFL rule that I don't love. Like, I don't think it's a good rule. I think it's dumb. I think it doesn't make any sense. It feels like a kid's sport would do that. And just the last one to touch it. It was off of you, but it sounds stupid to me. I don't like it at all. Okay. I mean, I guess I understand differing from the NFL, but I think that it's the worst rule they have.
Besides that, Dedrick Mills obviously made a great catch on the play, then gets hit and fumbles. Mills has been awesome. I'd argue maybe the best running back in the league so far.
Fletcher's been pretty good, but yeah, he's
pretty close. Certainly up in that upper echelon. I mean, if he holds on to that thing, Calgary's going down to potentially win the ball game. I think it was at like the BC 30 or something like that too. Driving. So Calgary right there, but a big swing, and then they just couldn't get it off the field there. I loved, by the way, the blitzing. I need to learn the Calgary DC coach, his name, but man, were they heating up VA. Just
Yeah.
absolutely heating him up, and didn't really work. I mean, it did a little, but not a lot.
They were getting after him. He had that play where you texted me, how did he do that? Where there was like four guys around him and he somehow got out of it. It
Yep.
reminded me of like a Texans Deshaun Watson or like a Lamar scrambling. Like it
That's
was
great.
just
That's a crazy pull for sure.
well, I mean that's what it looks. That's Watson's saying. It's fine. Yeah, it was a great play. I think he had like two or three plays where he texted me and said, "What? Like, how did he just do that?" There was the Mariota play where he threw it and it got batted and he caught it and kept running. Oh, I think he cut out. Yeah, he definitely cut out.
Who did?
You froze for me. I didn't
Awesome.
know if it was still recording.
Yep, we're still going here. Look at that.
Okay,
Right, we're gonna
sorry.
cut right through the tech issues. You're good, buddy. On the list of potential apologies, Jake Mayer.
Yeah.
He
So
was good
I've been
again. He
calling.
wasn't great. He wasn't insane. Had the one INT, I believe, that went off of Mills' hands. Mills maybe didn't play that great. Now that I'm thinking about it, but I mean that's
I
a tough break for it to go right into the linebacker's hands. But
I've been calling him Jake Meyer because that's how it looks to me. Frankly, I don't care how it's pronounced. I'm going to keep calling him Jake Meyer because I think my way is better. So I'm going to keep doing that. And I have written down here on my notes, Jake Meyer apology tour inbound. That's what I have written down.
all right, so we're not there. You didn't quite apologize last week. You said you might be wrong and you were gonna hold off. So I like that you just have it on deck if need be.
Jake Meyer apology tour inbound, comma, he might be good, question mark. That's what
I think I think that's a very apt yes description.
that's as far as I can go. I would like to know BC's defense kind of stinks. So if Jake Meyer is good against them, it's not really saying much. If he does this again against Montreal, Saskatchewan, the good teams, then we could talk. But if he's doing this against BC, I'm not moved personally.
You make an interesting point. I mean, Hladik was everywhere. He had like 10 tackles. Argos put up 35 on them, and obviously we
Yep.
thought that they were gonna be BC was gonna take care of business. I mean, Calgary 17 points, you kind of scoff at it, sure, but they had the touchdown in the first half, or sorry, first quarter, got three in the second, had the touchdown in the third, and then we're driving down to win the game. I mean, obviously those points don't count, but you're looking at, I think they were even driving on the Mills tip. I think it was in BC's territory as well. So I mean, there's the BC defense is definitely on fraud alert, despite Hladik being maybe the best defensive player in the league. I mean, 10 tackles. I mean, he is everywhere.
Duquois, I would probably say, is the best. He's a monster back there.
He is pretty insane. VA was shaky. Calgary's defense played well. I mean, we talked about it. They were rushing him. They were constantly bringing pressure. But he was certainly better than he was against the Argos. Got the turnovers out of there. Stand-back. That guy's a load, dude. That guy does not care if you were like a sumo wrestler. He would put his shoulder into your chest because his plan is just to run over you.
Yep, and it would work almost every time.
Yeah,
he's a beast.
He is insane. Also, I'm genuinely terrified. I'm gonna butcher it, but Teohama or Hema,
Yeah.
the D lineman, he's got the black visor for BC. I think it's Sione. Like I said, I'm gonna butcher it. I need to be better at this, but we're still learning some names, so just cut us some slack here. He'll get a TFL or a sack, and he is legitimately terrifying with how pumped up he gets, and the black visor might be the most intimidating player in the league.
It's impressive. It's very impressive.
He is incredible. All right, let's get to you on Sunday night.
Okay.
After two brutal spread losses, I had Saskatchewan money line. That one cashes. The cardiac with a K, like Kachuan kids, strike again. being down 10 essentially most of the game. I mean, obviously took the lead right away, gave up 14 unanswered. And yeah, I have a ton of notes, watched the whole game. Trevor Harris, 390, 2 scores. He had 390 yards and he was not good in the second and
Yeah,
third quarter. Like he was genuinely bad in the second and third
yeah,
quarter, but that first and fourth quarter is when he made his money.
yeah. I had the same thing written down. The 392 touchdowns, but he just again, I used the same word for somebody earlier, but he's just okay. Like nothing jumped out. And I was like, wow, that was an incredible throw. Vernon Adams had some plays where you're like, wow, that was incredible. Uh, I lose the names all the time. Fajardo had a bunch of
Yeah.
plays that looked like, oh wow, that was phenomenal. Trevor Harris hasn't done that all year for me. And same thing, Bo Levi Mitchell on the other side, gaudy numbers, but
Yes.
nothing he did. I was like, oh wow, that was awesome. His like he had 2 long touchdowns, and there was nobody within 15 yards of those guys. Like he
Yeah.
didn't make any impressive throws to me.
It is kind of funny you saying that because my notes were Trevor Harris with 392 touchdowns, and then my note for Bo Levi was Bo Levi, comma, I get it now. I thought he was pretty good. But now that you make the point of how open those guys were, is like
They're
especially
wide open.
the one in the after the fumble, which we'll get to,
Yeah.
just bomb wide open, and then second one got lost.
He
The
un-
guy got
he
lost.
underthrew that ball by a mile. He was wide open. If he hits him in stride, he walks in. But no, they had to run more plays. The next play, there's another guy wide open in the end zone. But he that was a bad throw. I hate that throw. No, it's fine. But
It's fine. You won the game, but I like that you're mad about it still.
well, you got to be a cardiac kid. We got to be perfect. This isn't perfect. I want to shout out both of Saskatchewan's wide receivers, Stearns and Schaefer Baker, balled. Both had over 100, which is crazy. Schaefer
Yeah.
Baker, by the way, picked him in my fantasy lineup this week.
Did
Somebody who
you
knows
know?
ball, me. Yeah. So he 2 touchdowns, balled, and then Keandre Smith for Hamilton also
Yeah.
balled out. They're
Um,
crazy game.
yeah, Stearns, we kind of talked about those people we want to interview. I would love to interview Jareth Stearns. Please, if you have a connection, please, just 10 or 15 minutes. He was Bailey Zappi's main target at Western Kentucky when he threw for 5,900 yards and 60 touchdowns. And I think that was 2021. That sounds right, the year after Burrow. And then he saved the game. Catch right on the first down line, Katsatonis, DB. He's also a really good DB. Him and Dequa are scary, but he goes, hits him in the knee. I don't know how, I'm a baby child, so the fact that Stearns held onto that ball and literally kept the drive going, otherwise it was going to be what, third and 17 or something
Yeah, it was.
after the penalty. It was I would argue the play of the game. I mean, that whole late drive, Trevor Harris. I don't know. So,
Yeah,
if somebody needs to tell this guy after 2 back-to-back game winning. I mean, technically the last after the pick. I don't know if that counts as a game-winning drive or not, but
game
at
tying
least,
drive.
yeah, at least the game-tying drive, the one prior. But um, yeah, I don't know. Somebody just needs to tell him, hey, you're down 7, and it's the fourth quarter, just as the ball is getting kicked off, because he's looked good. I mean, I believe now he leads the league both in. I know he leads in touchdowns. Let me double check.
He does lead in yards too.
Yards too. So, yeah,
I checked earlier.
695. Bo Levi at 680. VA at 640.
He's the only
And
one
then
with 5 touchdowns, and he's got no turnovers, no picks, no fumbles.
yeah, that's
So
big.
again, as
Somehow
much as I'm
somehow
saying, go
sorry.
ahead.
I said somehow they SSK line has kept him safe, but Alette can't get going at all. I mean, he's been great in the
Yeah,
pass game, but only 22 yards, I think, for him.
he, he's. I saw him early. He's averaging 2.2 yards per carry on the season. It's bad. They can't run at all. On the other side, though, I did want to say, as far as running goes, we can't run, but we are darn good against the run. I said Montreal's got the best defense in the league, but Saskatchewan's run defense is probably better. I looked up week 1 against Edmonton, 12 rushes for 39 yards. This week, 13 rushes for 30 yards.
The
They
problem,
are shut
oh,
down.
no way. Okay, so I'll give a little backdoor info for the people. This is This is the afternoon on Monday we're recording this, and the CFL has something that I love, which is if you go to the CFL website and you go to the stats tab, it'll say the first thing is stats through week 1. Luckily,
Yeah.
at some point between us starting this recording and talking, it went from stats through week 1 to stats through week 2. When you tap on that, it gives you full list standings, home records, so game results, and then it goes into the team statistics and some of the individual stuff. So luckily this is updated. Let's see opponent rush yards, which why is that not in? Oh, it's because it's sorted by average. Saskatchewan currently giving up the fewest yards per game with
As I
34 and a
expected.
half. With 34 and a half. Ottawa at 42.
Only one game though, and
Yeah,
there was no
exactly.
Oliveira.
Yeah, exactly. So, interestingly
Saskatchewan's
enough,
got the best run defense. Our pass defense, Garbo, but run
opponent
defense.
pass defense, Saskatchewan on
Fourth.
average, again, 358.
Yeah.
Obviously, like
Yeah.
Bo Levi's game that plays a ton into it, but
Well, I think MBT had 330.
MB no,
Averages were 350
I think he had like 370.
against us.
Oh, I thought you meant this week.
No, I'm talking again. To average 358, I think MBT had 330. Like both quarterbacks have dominated us, but nobody's been able to get on the ground.
Yes, you're right. You're exactly right. 330.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the game against Stanbeck. That's what I want. Bring him to me.
Ooh, okay. I like that. I like that. This kind of goes for, and I'm sure one thing that I wrote down here is the wide receiver questions. Bain gets hurt, goes out of the game. Obviously, that's kind of where this whole conversation has led us when you mentioned Stearns and Schaefer Baker, but sneaky, this team is both, I think, actually Hamilton and Saskatchewan, sneaky deep receiving cores. And I can't tell if that's a product.
Yeah.
Like in the NFL, you have obviously one less guy, and you usually have a number 1, number 2 guy, where obviously you have one more option, the waggle, like this kind of stuff for quarterbacks. So I don't know if that plays into it, but I think both of these teams, Joe, who I was super high on, I specifically texted you about on draft night. They got him in the last round. He was like the third to last pick. Makes obviously the roster and then has a massive impact. I mean, right away they went to him in the after halftime and like they got down into field goal range, kicked the field goal, basically off of 2 of his catches. So I don't know if it's a product of that extra guy on the field, but both of these teams have super deep receiving cores, and I think that's kind of a theme through the league,
Yeah.
which makes it tough to like actually differentiate. I mean, you have guys like obviously Hamilton, Tim White. He was kind of again last night. He had a touchdown drop, didn't he? Again, it's like right on the goal line.
Yep.
Yeah, that like little out route, I think. So he's been not himself, but yeah, the wide receiver, like rankings is something that I want to look forward to because that's my favorite part of the NFL draft, is the receiver classes. So that's something I wanted to bring up too.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just this week, I think BC had 2 guys that went over 90. We had 2 over 100. Justin Hardy. Dalton Schoen and Philpott both had bad weeks. The other guys picked up the slack. I think, yeah, just like you said, all across the league, there's a ton of talent in this league, man. It's crazy.
It really is. I know I think the week before, or maybe it was opening week, Manziel said that he didn't think that there was going to be a lot of, like, he didn't think coming in that there's going to be a lot of talent. And he was like, yeah, I didn't really deserve to make a team, which I think says a lot from a first overall, or a guy who had first overall potential in the
22nd.
NFL. Yep, 22 ski. Barlow, I would hate to go without mentioning a 3-sack performance, Barlow, for Hamilton. And the last thing that I really had on this game was Bo Levi's set. They flashed the play in Calgary. Bo Levi's second career touchdown pass was to Saskatchewan head coach Corey Mace. That was a pretty cool little.
That is cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, I forgot it from last week. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so that was a cool little bit there. We didn't really talk about the fumble. Tough rule. I think it's similar in the NFL. Just
yeah,
a tough situation for the ball to like literally land at his lap. But even though he didn't end up recovering it, but I think it touched him.
yeah.
Revis, that is. So tough one there. Obviously, the interception at the end. Uh, yeah, Saskatchewan
Yeah.
0 or 2-0.
Best team
Not
in
gonna
the league.
tied.
We're 2-0. Winnipeg's 0-2. That's all. That's all I see. I'm locked into that. I love it. Banjo Bowl belongs to us,
I love
and
it.
the Great Cup
My
will too.
my my Montreal Alouettes also 2-0. So both of us at the top of the league here. Now let's turn the
This week.
proverbial and literal page to week 3. We'll get through this pretty quick. We still got Farhan Lalji talking about the 2009 Grey Cup. We spent about 15-20 minutes with him. He was very
Yeah,
gracious to give us his time, and we had a
amazing
lot of fun. This background is going to change to
for
a
me.
strict yellow, and for you. Yeah, it was great.
Oh,
Um,
you too.
yeah, yeah.
Nice.
He'll point that out in the interview.
Oh,
Farhan will.
okay, okay.
But Ottawa now heads to Montreal this week. Do you have
-7.5 for the home team.
mm,
I'll
I'm
start. I'm gonna hammer Montreal because, as I've mentioned, Ottawa stinks and is the worst team in the league. And as much as I respect Drew Brown for what he did this week, Montreal's got the best defense in the league. He's not doing that again. And the rest of Montreal stinks, except Justin Hardy. Very good. Montreal by 10.
ooh. I wish do you have team totals for this?
I do not. Off the rip.
Yeah, that's a tough question for me to so I actually you should read the standings. You should read the standings between the two of us first.
We're both 4-4. Yeah, I started off week 1. I went 1-3. Hop went 3-1. Week 2, we exactly flipped it. I went 3-1. Hop went 1-3.
Yeah,
So
that's
we are
tough.
both even money.
Yeah, that's tough. My 2 game lead, surprisingly, with weeks to go, did not stick. I'm gonna see if I can find.
If I wasn't recording on my phone, I'd be able to get it, but I am
No,
working.
that's hey man, that's no biggie here. All I'm gonna do is go to FanDuel CFL and see if I can find scoring. Mm.
That's
No,
why
they
then
don't
I
have
ran.
they don't have odds for that up yet. But I think
Team
I'm gonna
totals?
go. Yeah, team totals.
Here. You'll just have to cut this part out.
Okay.
I'll find.
Okay.
I know I saw him earlier. Oh, what app did you check?
FanDuel.
Okay, that's what they were on there earlier. Are they not on there now?
I just see game lines.
Man, it is pouring.
Raining by you.
Like crazy. If I put my damn windows up, I'll kill myself. Why is this not working? That's also why I lost internet.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. I was gonna go get some fucking canes, but I guess that's not happening. Football.
I'm really nervous about what I should take this week now. 7 feels like a lot, but it's Ottawa.
If you want to start thinking about the other lines while I'm talking, it is Winnipeg -1.5, Toronto -5.5,
You're
Saskatchewan
good.
-3.5.
Yeah, you're good. I'm just talking to
Oh,
a
I guess.
buddy.
Oh. Yeah, fuck. It says they're not up for me either. I don't know what happened. They must have pulled them. Sorry.
Dang it, they heard I was looking at the lines.
Yeah.
Can't believe this. Damn it, now I gotta think. I don't know if I trust BC to beat Winnipeg though. I definitely don't trust Toronto to cover 6 against Edmonton.
Then we might sweep this week.
That'd be crazy.
I say sweep. We might have the same picks. All four.
Okay. All right, we'll see as we talk here.
Yeah.
All right, after further review, not able to find what we're looking for, so I'm going to take the under for the game, 47.5. I think I can get like 30-10, 30-13, 30-17 still works. So I'm going to take the under in that ball game for my pick this week in that game.
I am horrendous at betting game totals. Like if I were to track my game total bets, I would bet I'm under 20%. I can't bet it. I can't do it. I can bet spreads pretty well in the NFL and college, but if I try to bet team or game totals, I am as bad as it gets.
That's not the news you want to hear.
Yeah, I'm gonna avoid that and just take my Montreal minus 7.5.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's head down to Friday night, BC, Winnipeg. Luckily, this Friday, I don't have a baseball game, so I will be locked into this one. I am 2-0 when picking on the money line, both with Saskatchewan. BC on the road scares me. This over-under is 50, but I'm going to take BC. I see them plus 1.5. I don't know what you want to give me there.
I
I'm going to take
the
this.
same line.
Okay, I'm going to take plus 1.5 then. I'm going to take a money line personally. That's probably silly in the grand scheme of odds, but I'm going to take them to win the ball game. I just think they win the ball game. But this is such a actually, no. This is like, we just talked about how bad BC's defense is. This is such a get right spot for Caleros, which is a problem.
Sure is. Me personally, you think about it. Me personally, I can't quit Winnipeg in my brain because I mentioned this before. I do the same thing with the NFL. I have established in my mind preseason that they're good, and now it doesn't matter what I watch. I can't get out of that brain, that headspace. I have determined that they're good, and get right game for Caleros. He's gonna ball. He's gonna throw for 350. And I'm gonna have to hear all the Winnipeg fans talk about how they're actually better than us, even if they win, they'll still be a worse record. I'm not scared about them, but like you said, I think it's a get right game for Caleros. I think BC's defense stinks, and I'm gonna take minus 1.5.
All right, I'm gonna go opposite. I gotta stick with my gut because I see. I've established this with gambling that I've had too many times where I should have trusted my gut and either not bet it or bet the opposite and it wins. Too many times. So I've come to a conclusion always, if you have a feeling and it's an overwhelming feeling, you just got to trust it. Hold your nose and take it. So I'm going to stick with the BC pick. I'll take the spread, but I'm actually going to take money line on the game, which would be a real shame if they lost on like a last second rouge. Be a real shame. That would be a shame. All right. Edmonton heads to Toronto on Saturday night. This one I will miss because I play an hour away from, actually it's probably like an hour and a half from my house, a baseball game. I have to pitch Saturday, so that's gonna be a tough one. I'm gonna take Edmonton plus 6. I think Toronto still not. I mean, Cam Dukes is maybe him, but Edmonton just feels like they're so in your face still. I mean, only 23 to Montreal, obviously 29 to Saskatchewan. I mean, I just think it's gonna be way closer. I mean, MBT. I think MBT keeps them in it enough to where 6 is going to be no problem.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Edmonton plus 5.5. They played two better teams than Toronto, and they played both of them close. They've been in games. I mean, again, they lost to Montreal, and they scored a touchdown at the end, but they were in that game for most of the time. I think Montreal scored in the fourth to go up by more than what the cover was. So
Yeah,
they've been playing teams close. I don't think still not sold on Cam Dukes. I mean, if he does it again, apology to our inbound, but I'm not sold on Cam Dukes. I'm gonna keep taking Edmonton plus 5.5.
fair enough. All right, I guess I get 5.5 too then.
Yep,
Don't
that's the number.
don't totally love that number, but
That's the
hold your
FanDuel
nose,
number.
take it. Hold your nose and take it. Lastly, Sunday, we're gonna flip things around, head out to Saskatchewan, to Regina, I believe, is the
Yeah,
correct
Regina.
province there.
No, Saskatchewan's the province.
Oh, really? Regina's the town?
Regina's the city. Yeah.
You're telling me that the Saskatchewan Roughriders don't play in Saskatoon?
No, Saskatoon's a city in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I feel like that's where they should play.
Why?
Just, I mean, like close enough
Just
to
because
that
it
to the
says
name.
Sask.
Yeah, pretty much, honestly.
This is peak dumb American.
Yeah, that does. I feel like this is crazy. It's
I
like
don't.
it's like if I don't know. I can't think of a good.
Is
I can't think of a good
is
comparison off the top of my head.
Saskatoon even? I think Regina might be the capital.
It has to be.
What is the capital? Yeah, it is Regina. Why would they play in Saskatoon? They're gonna play in Regina.
Why is Saskatoon not the capital? That's crazy.
because just because it's SAS doesn't mean it has to be the capital.
Yeah, but it's like
what are we doing
Saskcat. Like, what
here?
are we talking about? You're
What are
crazy
we,
if you
no,
don't think that makes sense.
you're crazy for just basing it off of that.
You
No,
forget about the hit, like forget
no.
about the rest of it. I don't care what the population say. Just by name, like it's got to be like that doesn't make any sense. This is like this is like New York's capital being Albany and
That's
not New York City. That's crazy.
well, one, it's different because Regina is the biggest city in Saskatchewan. It would be like if Albany was named New York and then they made it New York just because it's the same name. It's clearly Regina is the city there. Not to downput Saskatchewan, but it's not exactly a bustling prop. It's not like Ontario. Respectfully,
Shout out Ontario.
they have they have a big city, and it's Regina. Let's not act like they're gonna put this. It'd be downput you a little bit. It'd be like putting a stadium in Green Bay, Wisconsin, when Milwaukee's right there.
Well, you know what they did. That's exactly what happened. Anyways, all right, we gotta hash that out later. Hamilton heads now to Regina. Look, Hamilton dominated most of that game. I think that's just a fact. I think Saskatchewan. I didn't see a status on Bain as of this recording. I tried to look before. I didn't see any notes. That's going to be huge. I mean, even though they're really deep, it's still going to be a huge factor. I'm going to take Hamilton on the money line. I'm seeing +2 right now as a spread. But I said it the other night. I think Hamilton's going to go. They'll split. They'll split on the road.
Hamilton, my God, that's what you have. I disagree. I'm going to keep going with my boys. I'd love to have Sean Bain back. I don't think it matters. I think Stearns and Schaefer Baker are
But Stearns
good
might
enough.
be hurt too. I mean, did he? I mean, I guess
He
he kept
finished
going.
he finished out the game. I was worried when that injury happened with Sean Bain already down, but he played. He was in on that play where we scored the tying touchdown. He'll play. I think Bain probably plays. Watching the injury, I think he probably plays. I mean, we just beat them on the road. Now we come back and it's the home opener. It's going to be absolutely juiced in Mosaic Stadium. It's going to be amazing. I wish I could be there.
Yeah. Fun fact: you sent me a text today saying that you essentially said you could be there. You were like,
not this weekend.
You did a cost analysis.
Yeah, I did my accounting and I determined how much it would cost me to go to a game, including because from my apartment to the stadium is 25 and a half hour drive. So
You
that's
wouldn't
not
fly?
something. No, so I was going to drive and then I saw 25 and a half hours. So now in my cost calculation, I have to take in a plane and rent a car and a hotel. It's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen this year. If not this year, I will be at the Banjo Bowl next year. That's my firm commitment. If I can't make it happen this year, I will be there next year.
Oh, the content. The
Yeah.
content's gonna be insane, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are
Maybe
you
I'm
gonna
going to
get in a
meet up with
fight? You
Snack
should get
Bite
in a
Pete.
fight.
Well, it'll be home. So in the NFL, I love road games. This past year I went to Baltimore in my Browns jersey and I started jawing at people. I do it in Steelers Browns games. I live to be the road fan. So frankly, as much as I would like to see Mosaic Stadium, I think it'd be more fun to go to Winnipeg and be the road. I significantly enjoy being a road fan more than a home fan, but I'd like to see Mosaic Stadium. So that's gonna be first on the list. Then I'll worry about going back to Winnipeg.
Yeah, it's fair enough. You gotta know where home is. Home is
Yeah.
where the heart is. Maybe you can get Coulter to show up
Oh,
and play
don't even.
Saskatchewan in 1881.
I would pay. So my cost analysis tells me that I could sit front row, take a plane, rent a hotel, and rent a car there for 2 nights, for roughly $1,200, which is
Oh, I didn't
expensive.
even know it was the 2
But
nights. That 2 nights that's not bad.
I would pay $1,200 to fly there, see Coulter Wall in concert, and then fly back. So frankly, it's more than my money's worth if Coulter was there.
Yeah, need Shania or something to do a free concert again.
I'm out on Shania, but that's fine.
Oh,
We're not going to
all
talk
right.
about that.
Didn't realize you were too good for Shania. You know who
I
we
am.
are not too good for though is
Farhan.
Farhan Lalji, the Canadian Football Hall of Famer, 30 years in media covering everything, CFL on the sideline for the 2009 Grey Cup. So we got a little bit of clarification on the end of that game, and some of the history behind the CFL. So obviously for you CFL fans listening, you're probably more than aware, but for us, it was cool as it gets to hear some of this. Incredible is exactly the word, to hear the story basically not basically, literally firsthand.
Yeah, it was. I can't believe Farhan is such a big figure. Like the fact that we interviewed him the one day and then 2 days later he was on TV. It just blows my mind, frankly, that we can go from starting this podcast as two guys who were like, "Hey, let's just watch the CFO. Wouldn't that be funny?" And then we're interviewing Canadian Football Hall of Famer who's on TV 2 days later. Just blows my mind, frankly.
It was definitely the Leo meme where he's in the chair with the cigarette in his hand pointing at the screen.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
everybody, appreciate you listening. Now here's about 20 minutes with Farhan Lalji.
Welcome everybody to the Football A podcast. This is an extremely the biggest one we've done, and by far it's not even close. You'll see a third man. Today we're going to talk about the 13th man, but the third man on the Zoom call here with us, it is none other than Farhan Lalji, Canadian Football Hall of Famer as well. It doesn't get better than this, but he's joined with us here today to talk about the 13th man. This has been a couple months in the works here, but Farhan, we are so glad to have you on.
Hey, I'm happy to be on. And so is this kind of your normal set where you're in the backseat of your car? Is that kind of the thing?
So ironically enough,
I love it. If it is, I love it. Like that's probably kind of something that a lot of people do when they're on my end of the interview. It would actually be a pretty cool set to have. So I'm envious. I got to use that idea. Is it copyrighted?
No, I take it. Go right ahead. No, it's okay. I actually work for a Canadian company that's franchised out in America, which is ironic. It probably wouldn't take people long to figure out who and what I do, but no, this had a little work emergency today, so we had to call it audible.
All right, I love it.
Yeah, so
I love it. I used to, and I love the name of the podcast because I used to coach high school football. And one year I took my team to Texas to play,
Okay.
and the team we played created shirts for the two teams, T-shirts, and it just said foot, and their team was called the Zebras. So it was football from A to Z, but they spelled the A-E-H. So I like it.
Yeah. When we first got into the CFL last year, I guess I can give you some quick background. Was later in the year, it was like that stretch where there's like an NFL and college football game for like 50 straight days. And so we were joking with some friends in a group chat that, how about we just say ball, 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 like when there's a fumble or interception, just like on a random Tuesday. And we are like, oh, I bet the CFL plays, jokingly. And then we realized the CFL was late in the season. And then all of a sudden we were like, all right, what if we just watch and start a podcast? What if we make it one big joke? And then we absolutely fell in love.
Incredible.
Well, people do. It's a great league. It's a fun game, and it like the league is awesome. And I've covered both leagues for a long time, but there's also a quirkiness to the CFL, which also adds to its charm. So when Americans stumble onto it, that's usually kind of what comes across to them. But it's a great league and a lot of fun to be a part of. And having covered it for 30 years now, and followed it as a kid growing up, it's certainly rewarding to be a part of the league now.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to go into that reporting history and the reason we had you on. So the CFL Reddit has been super kind to us in answering questions. It's a very welcoming community, and that's where we started posting our first episode, and that kind of stuff got a lot of support in that way. And so we asked the basic questions. What do we need to look out for as stupid Americans who are just getting into this? What are the big games in history that we should know? And one of them was the 2009 Grey Cup. Saskatchewan, Montreal. Probably, would you say this is the most famous CFL game of all time?
Yeah, I would say in the modern era, I certainly think it is. I mean, you go back to the '89 Grey Cup, which Saskatchewan won, and there were some great plays and catches back and forth in front of a full crowd at then what was the Sky Dome. But just in terms of theater and drama and storylines and just kind of legend, right? Because you're never going to forget a moment like that with the 13th man, and that it involves Saskatchewan, kind of all of it together. I would say in the modern era, that is as significant a Grey Cup as we've had.
Yeah, it's going back and watching is very interesting. You were on the sideline for that game.
Yeah.
I say I'm gonna start at halftime. At halftime, when you go back and watch this game, I'd love for you to know. I don't want to put you on the spot, but at halftime of that game, when they're coming back from the broadcast, there's a person with a sign that says "Beware of the 13th man." It's a Saskatchewan fan. Are you aware of that sign? And in the broadcast, did you know in real time that happened? Or I know this is obviously 15 years ago now, but or at least posthumously, or are you aware of that screenshot and moment?
Well, I've seen that moment for sure since, right? Not necessarily in the game because I'm not always watching a broadcast monitor, but obviously that sign has become a part of it. But the fact that Saskatchewan and Rider Nation has used the 13th man, I mean, that's been a thing for a while, and I know that living here in Vancouver and in Seattle, they've got the 12th man, which was kind of a ripoff from Texas A&M's 12th man. So right in and around that time, the 13th man had kind of really taken off in Saskatchewan. So it was a thing before that game. And then you wondered because, Chris Cuthbert on the call, they talked about the 13th man and how it played a part in that game is part of his call at the end. Since then, Saskatchewan has really leaned into it. You thought that at that point they would have kind of wanted to shy away from that moniker and get away from it. But it's actually gone the other way. They kind of leaned into it and took even more pride in it and used it as a bit of healing, for the community and the team and things like that. But the fact that Saskatchewan called themselves, or their fan base called themselves, the 13th man, even before that fateful night, was certainly out there front and center.
Incredible moment for sure. I just thought that was so funny going back. I mean, the CFL is great. They have like all of the games logged. You can go watch. Obviously CFL Plus to watch games in and out every week. So going back and seeing that, I was like, am I the only one? Do I know about this? But obviously, like you said, it's been a huge moment in the CFL. So let's go back to the last few seconds of that game. Just before Montreal fumbles a punt and lands back on it. obviously they've already at this point made it a comeback. What are you thinking? Obviously, down on the sideline, what was your vantage point for that moment in particular?
You mean with Saskatchewan still leading at that point, but Montreal coming back?
Yep.
Yeah, when you looked at that game, Saskatchewan played a really, really good football game. And this happens in the CFL where it doesn't take much. If you could just kind of hang around and do your thing and just stay in the game, greatness can happen in the final 3 minutes of a CFL football game, right? And you kind of got the sense that when Montreal got the first touchdown, before the field goal, that all of a sudden, oh, wow, they're kind of rolling here. And they had nothing going. They were just hanging around in that game. And Saskatchewan played so well, but they just couldn't pull away, right? And everybody was obviously favoring Montreal coming into that game. But you just kind of sensed that at that moment, in those final moments of the game, that the breaks were also adding up. And I was on the Saskatchewan sideline, and there was some tightness happening in all of that.
Wow, I didn't realize you were on that sideline in specific. So then, were you also in that spot as Montreal lined up to win it the first time?
Yeah, I was basically like right on the edge of the Saskatchewan bench. So, I could see what was going on and was next to the coach, and it was all happening in real time right in front of me.
Did anybody, like, obviously, I'm sure now more so for teams that they're checking. And I think there was a game when we first started watching last year and that had a 13th man, and then that kind of brought us into finding out about the 09 Grey Cup. But I mean, was there anybody on the sideline like making sure, because personnel is so important?
Yeah, not really. And the coach, who we believe was kind of responsible, was up in the press box, right? So there wasn't that happening. And one of the things with the CFL is that because of the single point and the ability to run the ball out, you can have on the offensive side, on the field goal kicking side, you have a short field goal team and you have a long field goal team, right? And you generally change a little bit of personnel, because if it's a longer kick, you'll wind up having more players that could potentially go down and cover the kick. Whereas if it's a shorter kick, you might have a few more offensive linemen and just kind of firm up the inside, right? So that is one of those things. So I can't tell you that they didn't have somebody counting. Like I wasn't looking for that specifically. I was kind of, just looking for players in the bench and looking at coaches, kind of looking at more predicted reaction in that moment, right? So I'm not saying nobody was counting, but I just didn't see it. But obviously one player was missed. So, yeah, I mean, usually you get that all the time. And certainly that moment is one that special teams coordinators go back and talk to their players about to this day, right? And have multiple layers of players and coaches making sure that things are counted, both from below, both from above, just so that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, I think from these last couple of questions, you made a lot of things like actually kind of click for me. Like, when it comes to the game and how it's played, the short team and the long team. I mean, because
it could lead to more substitution concerns, right? That's the reason I brought that up, right? Because you just don't know. And you also have, if it's a longer kick, you want more middle pressure, right? So you can block it from there, versus if it's a shorter kick, you might want to come off the edge. So there are a lot of variables there that could lead to a substitution error.
See, this is why this is such an incredible interview for us, because obviously you've coached at the high school level for a long time. This is all, my mind is not only being blown, but I'm being educated. This is absolutely incredible, more than I could ask for. But I'll go then to the first one. Obviously, the flag comes out. Was the second one, as a spectator, I feel like as fans, sometimes you just know what's going to happen. Did you know the second one was going in, or do you think?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, when the first one happened, I knew instantly there was a penalty, right? Like I could instantly see the flags coming up before the kick was ever attempted and missed. So, right away I'm looking at the bench, and there's guys on that team, on that Saskatchewan team, that I know well, and they are ready to jump up, and they haven't seen the flags and begin the celebration. And then all of a sudden they see it, and very quickly it's making its way to the bench before the officials even announce it. And just to see the devastation, because not only did I know, but they knew, right? Like 10 yards closer, there's no way he's missing at that point.
Oh man, heartbreaking. I mean, Ant became a Saskatchewan fan. That's who he planted his flag for last year. So yeah. I like where the team is headed right now with Mace. Do you have any takes on week 1 and what you saw?
Yeah, I mean, you saw an Edmonton team. You saw two teams that really needed a win, right? And there's a few teams that struggled last year that, how do you say it, culturally, right? Like for their own locker room, they need some early success or it could get away from them. And Edmonton's one of those. And, when you watch it, you're like, oh, here we go again, Edmonton finding a way to lose. But for Saskatchewan and Corey Mace, they also needed to do some right things. And one of the things with that team last year is they were so undisciplined. It took so many penalties. And both teams in this game took a bunch of dumb penalties. And if Saskatchewan had lost, that would have been the first thing Corey would have been asked about. And I coached against Corey when Corey was a high school football player at Port Moody High School in British Columbia. So we joke about, we joke about that a lot. But and I know his family really well because I also coached against his younger stepbrother, half brother, who's now playing at the University of Guelph. And his stepfather's a good friend of mine. So I know the family. Corey and I are tight that way. So I was happy for him that he was able to get his first win. And, the market is really buying into him. And if you've never been to a game, I think that should be your next thing, get to a game in Saskatchewan, because it is chicken soup for the CFL soul, right? Like you go there and you think you're in Green Bay. You think you're in Kansas City. You think you are where it matters the most, right? Because in some of the big markets where I live, it doesn't matter as much as, say, the hockey team. But in Regina and in Saskatchewan, the Riders are everything.
That is so awesome. As a Green Bay Packer fan myself, I understand that with a very understanding notion. So I love to hear about the past in your coaching. I'm a baseball player at heart. I'm 5'9", like 220, very slow. So
fullback size, high school fullback right there.
Yeah, I lended myself to being a pitcher because I could just barely get off the mound quick enough. But I would love to know more. I'm a very superstitious person. As a reporter or in your time as a coach, do you have a game day ritual meal? Or anything, right sock on.
Well, when I coached, I kind of had not necessarily superstitions, but I did have routines. Not so far as to say they were rituals, but certainly for home games, I went through some stuff, at the field where I kind of spent my own time and kind of got away from everybody, and and then I'd go to the athletic offices and I'd take a shower before the game and meet my team. Like we had team pregame meals, so I'd kind of go from there to the field and do some certain things, and then, like I said, then take that shower and put on, I'd have my coach's outfit that I'd put on kind of in order. I'd have game day socks that I always washed and just wore for those games. So just a few little things, nothing over the top, but a few little things for sure.
How about
I always wore the same orange shoes because our team uniform was orange, so I always had orange sneakers and I wore the same ones. I kind of halfway through my career switched them because they'd gotten pretty ratty after the first 10 years and then had to get another orange pair. So those are some of the things I did.
Oh, you're an incredibly impressive human. I love those kinds of little tidbits about people. What about, one big thing as we're trying to get into the journalism world, haphazardly or not to quite your stature, obviously, is what about the spreads? Do you have a specific spread for the media that you might like in the league, or is there are you stopping at Chipotle before you're on site?
Look, this is not like NFL spreads, right? So when you go to the NFL games, spreads are fantastic at all of them. And then I cover hockey too. So the CFL kind of has an ordinary spread, but they charge you. The NFL never charges you. Uh-huh. So the CFL, in most places, it doesn't charge you. Not Edmonton. Who has the best spread? Saskatchewan, as you'd think. So, but in BC, what happens is they pre-package the meals. They used to have a spread, but they pre-package a thing and they only have a certain amount. But then they don't have someone guarding who gets what. So by the time I get up there, mine is usually stolen by somebody by someone in a stats department or somebody who just happens to stumble in. So they don't have someone minding it and checking off the names. They have like 25 meals and one of them is for me, but by the time I get up there, it's taken. So at that point, I have to have concession food usually.
Wow. Okay. So that does lead me into a follow-up. Okay. I'm a person.
Oh,
that,
you know
like,
what? Actually, let me say this: Calgary has a good spread, and you only have to pay $5 in Calgary, but they'll have like brisket and barbecue stuff and like country cowboy food. So it's not extensive where there's like 7 or 8 items, but there's 2 or 3 really good pieces, good servings, and they usually have the best food.
Country cowboy food seems like more of a Saskatchewan thing. I'm kind of surprised Saskatchewan doesn't have that.
They mix it up. Whereas Calgary's a little more themed. That's kind of the Texas. You go to Calgary, it's a little bit. We call it Cowtown, so they kind of lean into that theme a little bit. They have good brisket in Calgary.
Wow. Okay. I got to know this because I'm a big foodie guy as well. Whenever I actually get to Canada, we only got you for a couple more minutes, so I am gonna follow up with 2 somewhat still related questions. Last week, we talked when we were talking about the Calgary game and the University of Calgary is the stadium they play. I thought it was very aesthetically pleasing. Is there a most beautiful stadium or that you have in the league that you like?
Well, the 2 newest ones, both in Winnipeg and Saskatchewan, are fantastic, right? And they're perfectly sized for the CFL in the low 30,000s, but they have all the amenities and everything that you'd want, like at the top level, even in the NFL. So those are the 2. They're great to go into. The fan bases are good. Stadiums are generally full. The atmosphere is good. I used to think that Calgary was the best like 15 years ago because it was the right size then, ahead of so many others. But they need a lot more in the way of amenities for sure in Calgary right now. But Saskatchewan and Winnipeg have, in my opinion, the best stadiums.
Saskatchewan sounds like they're looking up. Yeah. So
you got to go.
I'll leave you with this final, probably a little bit of an ignorant American question. Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
Do you have a go-to order?
Oh, I go to Tim Hortons for breakfast and I get a farmer's wrap, which is like the egg and a hash brown in a shell, and it's wrapped with like a chipotle sauce, and it's pretty good. Although, about a year ago they changed it and they stopped doing scrambled eggs. You got to get like a fried egg, and I'm not really a fried egg guy, but that would probably be my go-to. And if you want donuts, I'm kind of weird. I like toasted coconut. So I like that. And then they make the Timbit. It's a chocolate Timbit with a toasted coconut. So that's kind of the best thing going. So that's my go-to when you go to Tim Hortons. Although I'm trying to cut back on the donuts. I'm not going to lie.
I love that. I will say we've been lucky enough to have Tyrese Beverett on, CFL All-Star. And he said the same thing. And the farmer's wrap was his like go-to. So that's interesting. Obviously two incredible athletes with the farmer's wrap. Sounds like that's what the go-go juice is for the CFL.
Well, you can't call me an incredible athlete, but I'll take incredible.
Awesome. Well, you are definitely incredible. We got to let you go, Farhan. More than appreciative for your time today. I hope we get a chance to get you back on at some point when you're less busy, but I think you might be the most busy man in Canada.
Well, if we do it, just make sure you come back and do it from the car.
All right. You have my word. I can't say no to you. I can't say no to you.
Done.
Awesome, Farhan. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you.
All right.